In this lesson, I'm just going to teach you about direct and indirect object in English. We are just going to follow this course while learning. First thing that we are just going to learn is what is an object in a sentence, and then types of objects that exist. And then we are just going to learn about the difference between the direct and the indirect object in English. Last but not the least, as we always do, a practice exercise in which we find out whatever we have learned, are we able to comprehend that or not? Or have we been able to comprehend that or not? So right now, before we proceed on to the next stage of learning the direct and the indirect object, the concept of the direct and the indirect object, before that I want you to keep certain key points in your mind which will help you proceed to the lesson in a refined manner, and you'll be able to grasp the concept properly. Regular English sentence structure is you have subject, verb and object. But generally you see sometimes even without an object the sentence is complete. To understand this concept properly, you need to watch my video that is on transitive and intransitive verbs. By watching that video, you will be very clear that which type of sentences or which type of verbs require object and which type of verbs do not require objects. So please go through that video. But generally the structure is subject, verb and object, and then you have adverbials and other information which is laid in a sentence. The next thing is that, for example, in a sentence, after the verb, if the action is passed on to something within a sentence, that particular thing or object is known as the object of your sentence. Next thing is that an English sentence can have more than one object. It can have direct object and then it can have an indirect object. That's what we are going to learn in this video. And then you need to know that which types of verbs actually require an object and which types of verbs do not require an object, and even then without the insertion of the object, direct or indirect, the sentence remains incomplete. So I have said that please watch my video on transitive and intransitive verbs. But definitely we will be talking a lot about all these concepts. So right now we are just going to learn and find out what is a direct object and how can we identify it. You just need to keep one key point in your mind, and that is, once we are trying to locate the verb, right after the verb you have to ask yourself a question: who or what? If something in the sentence answers this question, that means that particular phrase or verb is the direct object. Now let's find out where do we have the verbs. I want some fresh vegetables for the soup. So I want. Now I want what? What? Some fresh vegetables. So some fresh vegetables is my requirement. So the action is transferred over here, and this is the direct object. James got an appointment letter yesterday. Now James got what? Now the question is what or who? Of course we don't have who over here, we just have the answer of what over here. So James got what? An appointment letter. So this is the direct object. Let's go to the next one. Don't pluck flowers from this garden. Now don't pluck what? Don't pluck flowers. So we have the direct object over here, because this is answering what is not to be plucked, and this is answering what has James got. Now Kate walked her horse to the stable. Kate walked what? Her horse. She walked her horse to the stable. Of course tells us where it was the horse was taken, but right now since we are to identify only the direct object, so our whole sole concentration is on the direct object. Let's go to the fifth sentence. Children will collect seashells at the beach. So children will collect what? They will collect something, and what is that? They will collect seashells. Okay, so seashell is the direct object. Next one, some naughty boys pushed the truck into a ditch. Now some naughty boys, they pushed something. What was that? They pushed the truck. They pushed the truck. So this answer what of if we ask a question what after the verb from ourselves, this is the answer that we would get. So this is how you must have learned that direct object. One thing is that only a transitive verb will have an object. Now for this, you see, I again recommend you to watch my lesson regarding transitive verb, because that will help you further build upon this concept. But as a whole, I want to tell you that direct objects or indirect object, they are found only in case we have a transitive verb. And these are all transitive verbs, the way they are used in these sentences over here. But the main thing that is a prime focus is that a direct object is the one that is the part of the sentence which takes the action of the verb to itself. So you want something, what is that? Fresh vegetable. James got an appointment letter. Don't pluck what? Flowers. Walk her horse. She walked her horse to the stable. Children will collect what? They will collect seashells. Some naughty boys pushed what? The truck. So this is how you have learned direct object. Now we are going to learn about the indirect object. So right now we are just going to do the identification exercise through which you will find out what is an direct object and what is an indirect object. I've just put some examples over here on the board, and let's identify each one of them. For a direct object, you need to ask from yourself who or what. The moment you just find out a verb in a sentence. And for the indirect object, you need to ask whom. So the moment you get the answer for whom, you will get the answer for the indirect object. Now let's look at the examples. My father gave me some interesting books. Now the question is, my father gave what? My father gave some interesting books. So this goes for a direct object. So I'm just writing DO so that you can understand. Whereas for whom did he bring those books? So it was brought for me. So that means this word which answers whom is the indirect object. So I'm writing IN.O. This is just a symbol for myself. That is not an international symbol. That's just for understanding. Now, Adam shared his secret with his best friend. So Adam shared what? What? Adam shared his secret. So his secret is the direct object, whereas with whom did he share his secret? With his best friend. So this is the indirect object. So I'm just going to underline indirect object. And this is a direct object. Next one, the teacher asked her students a few questions. Now the question is, what did the teacher ask, or what did the teacher ask? She asks a few questions. She asked a few questions. So a few question is the direct object. And from whom does she ask those questions? She asks from her students. So that is, this part of the sentence is the indirect object. Let's go to the next one. Seema threw a wonderful party for her cousins. Now what did Seema throw? She threw a wonderful party. So she threw what? a wonderful party. So this is the direct object, whereas for whom did she throw a wonderful party? She threw a wonderful party for her cousins. So this is the indirect object. Let's go to the second last sentence. Gohar bought his friend a beautiful watch. Now Gohar bought something. What did Gohar buy? He bought a beautiful watch. So a beautiful watch is the direct object. I'm just putting arrows just for your understanding. There is no such international method that I'm following. It is just for the understanding, to develop the understanding of the concept. I'm just doing it. So Gohar bought what? A beautiful watch. And for whom did he buy? For his friend. So his friend is the indirect object. Let's go to the next one. They offered Sheila some money. They offered Sheila some money. Now, what did they offer? They offer some money. So, some money is the direct object. I'm putting on this side. And to whom was the money offered? Sheila was the one to whom the money was offered. So, this is the indirect object.